Morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this webinar presented by the Logistics Channel and hosted by Honeywell, entitled Reducing Post and Parcel Hub Downtimes with Condition Monitoring Systems. My name's Peter McLeod, and it's my pleasure to be your Master of Ceremonies today. Businesses in the post and parcel sector, they face mounting operational pressures as online shopping volumes increase and consumers demand increasingly more challenging delivery slots. Any equipment failure in this complicated chain of processes between point of order and point of delivery can spell significant repercussions, both financial and reputational, for the responsible party. Honeywell has devised a solution to help drive down the possibilities of mechanical failure in your operations in the shape of condition monitoring system. Before I introduce you to our speaker today, I wish to encourage you to send us any questions you may have on the subject using the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll endeavour to answer them towards the end of this webinar. If there are any questions still outstanding at the end, we'll attempt to contact you individually post-event with an answer. Furthermore, I'll remind you that a recording of this webinar will be made available to you after the event, should you need reminding of what has been discussed. So now it's my great pleasure to introduce to you our principal speaker today, Frank Käpper, Executive Account Manager at Honeywell. Hello, Frank, and over to you.
Well, good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to the audience. My name is Frank Käpper. As Peter mentioned, I'm Account Manager at Honeywell Integrated Europe, and I'm leading major post and parcel accounts all over Europe. And today I will give you an impression about how we have set up a new technology which calls condition monitoring systems as part of Honeywell Connected Assets strategy to reduce the post and parcel hub downtimes. First of all, a small overview for the audience. What you see today, what we present, it's a short overview about the Honeywell Group. Furthermore, the Honeywell Integrated business in EMEA. What are the pain points in the parcel and post and parcel hubs in Europe and all over the world? A little bit overview about Honeywell Connected Assets and our condition monitoring systems. Then the main question, how to implement such a condition monitoring system. And finally, in conclusion, and a Q&A with you. About myself, as Peter already mentioned, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm a family man, married, have 2 children that are already adults, and I'm more than 25 years into logistics and material handling. Just a brief overview about Honeywell Group and also the integrated systems business in EMEA. Honeywell brand is well known, but most people don't know that we, beside aerospace, building technology, performance materials and technology, the business unit of safety and productivity solutions, SPS, also has a business unit that's related to automated material handling and how we call it in Europe, interlogistics. This business unit includes different sections like voice scanning, mobile computing, technology, software, solutions for personal protective, but nevertheless also a big portion related to material handling, post and parcel business, sorter, conveyor, and all that stuff. Besides worldwide operations, I will highlight our operations that we're having in Europe. Our main facility is the Honeywell Transnorm brand in Harsum, located near the town of Hanover. Beside that, we established also an engineering hub in Brno in the Czech Republic, and also inaugurated by the beginning of this year a brand new production facility in Katowice. So we are well prepared to meet European post and parcel demands and also serving major post and parcel companies already. Let's go directly to the pain points in post and parcel hubs, which is one of the main topics from today. If you're looking at the pain points, one big pain point, and starting at number 1, is the peak season. The peak season was coming up before Christmas and always needed at any post and parcel hub additional workforce to do all the growing business. And also with the growing work, also the maintenance staff need to grow up and to meet the demands of the operation. Then the further topic, connected assets, what is a part of the Honeywell strategy. So far, there are missing solutions to enable a condition-based maintenance because, so far, any equipment that you will use need to be equipped with additional inventory and assets that enable the condition-based maintenance. The next topic, labor cost and production. In post and parcel, beside e-commerce and post and parcel, there is a lack of missing information. A lot of processes are manual beside the sorting technology and the conveying. And there's also a big challenge to find enough and well-qualified staff. In addition, there's always the cost of inspection, maintenance, and also the spare parts. And not to forget, at least, post and parcel business operates 24 hours, 7 days, mostly 250 days per year. The operation is really harsh environment. And the post and parcel business is challenged with a high variety of different parcel types, from tiny poly bags to really big non-conveyable parcels. All this will lead to one main point. The operation must run, and downtimes, especially when they are not planned, are a big issue for the post and parcel operators. At least we can say this is the major pain point for all post and parcel operators. The further challenge is that most post and parcel operators in Europe and US, all over the world, are having challenges to really know their costings. The Pareto principle will then give a small hint, but nevertheless, it's really not to only to see what is at the time when I'm having a downtime, what is my cost at the position. It's also the loss of the production, the recovery costs to set up people and stuff to rework all that, the missing parcels that are not sorted out at the daily production. The inventory stuff that you have, the stress on your machines, and all that different things. So it's really a challenge for our customers and for us to really figure out what are the real costs and what is the challenge that we meet with their cost. Then there also is a big challenge in seeing what is the right time for the maintenance. We are talking about preventive maintenance that will avoid downtimes. Sometimes it could be too early because we have also a time that is from the engineering side set up when a part will be having wear or when a part will become worse. So it's really important that we see the failure of a downtime and the failure prognosis, and there is a disruptive between preventive maintenance and planned maintenance. So it's really important that we see we need standard solutions and tools for the detections when a failure could occur, so that we have more options to use the parts as long as they are designed for. What is the key to success? We see at Honeywell the keys to success in the condition monitoring that gives us status information of our post and parcel systems. We are talking about singulations, we're talking about conveyors, and also at the sorters. And the condition-based maintenance should then reduce unplanned downtimes and also enable to use the parts and assets maximum real and maximum life cycle time. By avoiding these downtimes, we have less downtimes and increase our post and parcel total cost of ownership, which is more or less the goal. Connected assets as part of or condition monitoring as part of the connected asset strategy of Honeywell. Following now, you see a really short video and giving a little bit of impression how it looks in the real world.
Drive productivity and reduce operational expenses. It also allows you to capitalize on the real-time information you need to holistically manage, control, and accelerate every aspect of your operation.
The next step will be have a view on how to implement a condition monitoring system. Generally, advice is that we are starting small. Having a view on what is really needed, define our value in setting up or installing condition monitoring, have a clear understanding what will be the return on invest, clear awareness what is needed, choose the right team, set up a team for doing something, do the evaluation of that. So, as mentioned by that, going step by step, understanding what to do. The idea of condition monitoring is to have a continuous detection of the status of a machine, of an installation, of a process, and in our scope of the post and parcel process. We have to figure out what are the physical parameters and the relevant data that we have to detect with sensors, actuators. For example, temperature, vibrations, positions of equipment. This basic data is really the indicators to define what is the condition-based status. And also we need to understand, or we should understand or have a view on what are the advantages that I want to having out by installing a condition monitoring system. First of all, I want to receive important information of all machine and installation on how it's performing. It also should be, in the best case, support the LSF, the life cycle service support, our maintenance staff that will be having, for example, on remote, upfront information about upcoming failures and having the chance to plan in advanced maintenance and planning maintenance. At least reduce downtimes, for example, by early detection of the defects, and also improve a running commissioning of an installation by ensuring that we have direct at the beginning the perfect performance and status. As a conclusion, we can say right now, the condition monitoring is a precondition for state-oriented maintenance. Going further on our circle, what are the challenges? Challenges are willing to define meaningful parameters and finding also suitable sensors. Signal analysis that's giving information needs to be understood from a technical side, and the repeating pattern and the huge amount of data, all this must be figured out, and also bringing for single conveyors, for line splitters, for different sorting technology. It must be analyzed, it must be evaluated, and it must be understood what is the best condition, what is the worst condition, what is the condition before it goes to wear or to downtime. Furthermore, the challenge is to understand and also to figure out there's an effort and the invest and how it will be in relation to the return on invest. And so by now we also have to handle a certain lack of unknown knowledge and missing lack of competencies. How to overcome this situation? What we do with our current customers and with current pilots is we start workshops. And with that workshops, we're going to have already a view on what is the current risk, how clear is the risk, to determine what exactly we have to monitor. Not every single rolling bearing or every single drive needs to be condition monitoring. You really have to figure out what is necessary to find the critical points in the installation that we have to condition monitoring, and at least we have to figure out what are the bottlenecks in our system. And then set up with the team the right infrastructure and also bring the right experts together. Sounds really easy, but to giving a small overview. For example, we take the belt conveyor, what is the main part of any post and parcel installation. and giving a small workshop cluster and to define what needed to be monitored. For example, we are putting out the belt, the belt, and see what could be in the components that could be weared, and also what are the parameters we have to define. Then having a clear understanding what are the errors that we can having out of the parameters, and also make a final adjustment. What is the damage that could be happened? And then the most important thing, if I have a damage, if I have a wear, there is something, repair time, and also I will not call it repair time. It's the time that it needed to get the operation right on track. For example, if on a main line of a post and parcel system before it goes to the index of a sorter, if there's a broken belt, the repair time on the reconditions will have an effect of 2.5 hours. That means that in 2.5 hours, hundreds or thousands of parcel not can be sorted at the right time. You have a big backlog with the processing of that parcels. You have also to ensure that you have the right people to rework all that backlog, and it get a lot of stress. It get a lot of non-productive time and a lot of reduce on your performance on your post and parcel center. How do we figure out what is necessary to install on conveying, on singulation, and also on sorting assets within Honeywell? We have in our Honeywell Transnorm brand a test loop, and we installed different sensors, actuators. Also, we're using different parameters out of the drive that we already can use, and we figure out what is necessary to understand the condition and what failures can happen, and what is defined and what other parameters we have to review. Mainly the parameters of a belt damage are reflecting to high costs and maintenance costs, just as an example. Also part of testing these is not only the belt conveyors. For example, if you have a line splitter, a line sortation, here we can measure the vibrations. We have already an understanding how many patterns of the swivel mechanism are in a good mode, and if the curves are changing, if the patterns are changing, we can detect, oh, there's something that's not working 100%. We need to do maintenance, and we have to change parts on, for example, swivel wheels or bearings or whatever. What are the necessary interfaces for such an implementations? It's quite easy. At least we can act with smart drives, sensors and drives. You can put in additional sensors on the PLC, or you use sensors and available I/O links. Altogether, with the process data, you bring it into a field bus, Profinet or EtherCAD, and then you further link it to the customer's control, and so you have a complete process data overview. The next slide shows connected assets, final status, that you have a mobile device, a cell phone, for example, with an app, and you're seeing already there is a failure coming up at any single device of your post and parcel equipment. This is one option, this is the future, but it's also possible to make it quite easy, not without using big data. You can use, for example, the option and that you only get a failure mode on your email address, that you have to drive XY0 have to be repaired or have to replaced, and then you have a failure mode. And it's not only the big picture that we are forcing at the moment, it's also that we are going, what are the critical, what is the bottleneck in my installation, what are the critical installation parts, and what is needed to have with simple things, information upfront to reduce unplanned downtimes. Coming to the conclusion, one part of the session with the customer with the workshop is also to directly understand and to figure out what are the bottlenecks, what are the additional costs for my condition monitoring system, for example, for a conveyor model, for singulation, or for the installation of a complete sorter line. And what is the cost if I'm having downtimes? As I mentioned before, we've done some calculations already in workshops with our customers, and without giving any detailed number here, I can tell you that a little small invest on some bottleneck assets of our post and parcel hubs will have a huge impact on avoid cost of downtime, because if you are thinking or taking in mind, if you have a delay of 2.5 hours and you have, I will say, a number between 12,000 to 20,000 parcels not processed, that's a huge cost difference. And it looks better than the Pareto number of 20/80. It looks much better, but just to give you an example how the return on investment could be. And that's the final outcome, that we are achieving total cost of ownership, increase the total cost of ownership by using connected DC, by using condition monitoring, the key to improve. So I hope it was just in time. Now I'm ready for a Q&A.
Thank you, Frank, for that enlightening presentation. And I have to say, it's always listen to an industry expert like yourself, sharing their knowledge and experience. So thank you again. And yes, as we mentioned, we would like to encourage you to send in your questions. And there's a Q&A box on the right-hand side of the screen, a function to enable you to do that. And I think also to help us answer some questions, at this stage, I'm going to bring in Frank's colleague, Tilman Aid, who's a Division Manager, Lifecycle Support Services Europe for Honeywell. And his expertise lies on the customer side of the Honeywell offering. So welcome to you, Tilman. And before we go to audience questions, I'm going to ask a few of my own, if you don't mind. I'm going to kick off with the implementation stage. In the real world, how are we going with that? Have we got real world customers out there, and what stage are they at, and how far have we gone with them?
We are currently doing with I will say the biggest post and parcel hub provider in Germany and also in the US. We're having first pilots running, and it's confidential for sure, but nevertheless, the customer are really interested, because this is state of the art. It leads to the IoT approach, that you can detect upfront or have a complete overview about your condition of your post and parcel assets, and customers are quite interested in that. And
so, have we got any examples of the key takeaways, the key successes you're achieving with these customer implementations?
The key takeaway is that it's one of the, beside the fact that the customer can't do at the post and parcel systems bring in big automation, at least they can improve their targets and processing and performing by using condition monitoring to improve their performance. Any minute that you are saving with a downtime is money for a post and parcel center.
I picked up earlier on when you were talking about the workshops that you set up before an what are the experiences from Honeywell's perspective, and what about from the customer perspective?
I need to apologize, but I had a delay now in your in your wording.
Yeah,
maybe you can repeat, please.
No problem. Yes, of course, Frank. I was just picking up on the workshops that you mentioned in your presentation. I wanted to ask if you could talk us through, perhaps in a little bit more detail, some of the process of setting up those workshops, and what are the experiences of these from both the Honeywell's perspective and from the customer's perspective.
Yeah. First of all, you have to find, I would say, coaches and supporters. Mainly, we are finding easily these coaches and supporters in the board and the vice presidents. They say, "Oh, this is future technology. Honeywell is a future Käpper company. This is what we want to go for." This is the first thing that we have to do. The second thing is, what is quite challenging, that we have to find project managers, partners within the teams of our customer that have the experience and also willing to work with us to figure out the details. They're all struggling, or they all are really busy with implementation and commissioning of the standard systems, and now they are challenged. There's additional request, for example, additional request for installing PLC, and also for working out and also setting up together with us the strategy. What are the real outcome that we want to have? But also they are really struggling to have understanding of their own processes and their own costs. Processes maybe they know, but their own cost and what will be the benefit, return on invest if I really do that. For example, having and also sharing that cost, of course, with us as a supplier for the installation.
I'm going to throw this one over to you, Tilman, if you can hear me. I want to ask you, and Frank's introduced that concept. You know, we understand perhaps the customer doesn't always know their operational. For example, would be the cost of a broken belt in the operation. We also have a question from the audience, which is how much is the cost of a not sorted parcel? So is that something you could answer, Tilman?
Well, roughly. So it can be hundreds, it can be thousands of euros, because it's not only the lost parcel, because you have to pay perhaps an extra fee because you did not deliver it in time. You're not reaching the KPIs which you should reach as a parcel hub, and it really depends on what is all connected to that. If we have a real downtime of a sort of, for example, and that is just one parcel, not just one parcel lot, but the whole production is lost, then it can really be very, very expensive to catch up with that, because everything has to be rescheduled, retrieved from the system, and everything reiterated. And this can be very costful. So, sorry, my voice.
Sure. I think whilst you're
maybe
sorting yourself
add
out.
to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse me, Peter. Maybe I can add to that. This is a quite tricky and quite important question from Mr. Trautmann. Maybe I add to that. Not giving anything with confidence, but the most of European parcel provider, they need to have that number, and they are accounting with 2.5 until 3 euro per parcel if it's delayed. It considering the complete rework with the team that you need to processing all the backlog.
Have you anything to add to that, Tilman? Now you're back with us.
No.
Okay. So, what about some of the challenges you face in implementation? What have been some of those? What have been you've faced from the customer's side of things?
The first challenge is that we're having, or it's a question if it's a real challenge. We have by now we are going, and if we are doing new installations, if we are awarded from the customer to set up a new post and parcel hub, then it's the right time to combine it with the system. Then it's the right time to talk to the customers. This is one option or one topic. What I see as a challenge is, as I mentioned before, you need to convince the high level, but also you need to convince and you need to receive information down to the smallest level. You need to have information, background information from the parcel, from the people that are on the maintenance on the site. You need information that are really that they have to collect from different sides about their own performance, and that they normally not share. And then at least to get something implemented is always required that you have a really good relationship with your customer and a really trustful relationship, and that the customer really understands this is not about getting his internal data. This is about helping him to get a better performance for the future.
And is it easy to say whether there's a typical size or perhaps a type of operation that lends itself best to having this sort of solution implemented?
Not really, because the main strategy of Honeywell with connected assets is with the software tools, with the sensors, with the complete installation, with the apps that you can use, is created for every installation, for every manufacturing production. At our core business here with Honeywell Intelligrated is for sure e-commerce, e-com, post and parcel. And Post and Parcel is really thankful for getting such technology and having a small part of innovation for the future.
And would the solution that you have for the post and parcel sector ideally suited for that, obviously, but what about other intralogistics types of operations? For example, fulfillment centers, distribution centers, or maybe sort of small parts manufacturing?
It's fully scalable. It also fits to that. Peter, you're frozen. I can't hear you. Sorry. Peter, your picture and voice is frozen. So maybe I ask some questions during Peter is reconnecting to Tillman. Tillman, I think one thing that is really, since I'm with Honeywell and I'm since 25 years within intralogistics, but for me really special is Honeywell's approach and Honeywell's idea of bringing lifecycle services support and naming it also like that and bringing it to Europe. And maybe you can give a little bit an overview. What is the advantage from your perspective as leader of the lifecycle services team in Europe if customers have in place this condition monitoring system?
So typically, lifecycle support consists of first level support, which is mostly given by the customer staff itself. And then second line, it is our own staff, which is helping remotely and also for reactive call out. So that is a typical scenario. We also have different scenarios where we are present on site all the time. But the first one is the most common scenario. And with that, it is always very helpful to get the proper assessment of what's happened, what is broken, what is the problem which the system currently has. So, and further and the more detailed we have this insight of the system, how is it going and such, the better we can provide a service and troubleshoot and help the customer with that. So, and especially in the scenario where if the first line service from the customer is provided and we are lacking more and more really qualified and skilled staff, it all depends on the knowledge and experience of the first level people. And if that is not given, yeah, we need this access to this information directly. So this can really bring a huge benefit to the whole situation. so that we can react quickly and properly, appropriately to the situation.
Thank you for that. If we're considering that a customer, or because it's new technology we're implementing, if the customer do not have any condition monitoring, what is the real world? The customer is calling you, and then you have to prepare all your workforce, or you have to bring your workforce on demand. How you handle it at the moment, and what is your thinking about the future? How you can improve your planning?
I mean, right now we are connected to the PLC. So everything what we are seeing is we are seeing through the eyes of the PLC, and everything which is connected to the PLC itself or to the high-level control system, we can see it as well. But if we look more into the details, what's going wrong with a specific machine, with a specific part of the machine, we are more or less blind, and we have to rely on the judgment of the people on site. So first line, of course, we try to fix the problems remotely. If we cannot solve it, and it depends on the criticality of the incident itself, we send out our experts to fix the problem on site. And this is, of course, can be challenging because we need the right people at the right time on site. And if we have the possibility to monitor upfront the situation of the system, and detect upfront eventual upcoming problems, then we can prepare something. Let's say, for example, a shoe sorter has a problem, and it's risking to break down within the next 2 days, let's say. Perhaps nobody else had detected this upfront, but the system does, and now we can prepare, order the spare parts from our main hub. We can send the right people on site, do a scheduled intervention, a scheduled rebuild of that, and everything is fine for the next year. So that's the goal, really, to go from a reactive mode into a proactive mode.
That was a good hint. You mentioned spare parts. From my side, from the sales, from the account management, initial spare parts package is always a question that the customer always also considers in his return on invest model that he is calculating. But always is the question, how many spare parts of which part I need? What is the amount? What is the right amount? To be honest, currently without any historical data or without any condition monitoring, we only can assume, estimate what the customers needed. How you see improvement on that topic?
It's the same as for the labor itself. If you know what's going on and when something will break down, you can adjust your labor and also the spare parts to it. So not too much. You have to be prepared. You can do really optimization of the staff and also on the spare parts within certain limits, of course. But yeah, okay. It's a tremendous opportunity.
All right.
Thank you for improvising.
Are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back here. Sorry. My question, which I was in the process of asking when you lost me, and I think possibly when I said it's a difficult question to answer, that's when I cut out. Whether that was sabotaged or not, I don't know. But is it possible to give us an idea of the potential cost to implement this solution?
Yeah, that's a challenging question. As I show in my presentation, the key is to go with a simple solution, not directly the big installation. It's a challenging question because we have different technology that we need for different assets. For example, sensors, actuators, drives that used on a conveyor, on a singulation, and also on the sorter. I can't give or are not willing to give you a detailed number, but the ratio, as I showed in one of my slides, if you remember the two arrows that put each other or touched each other, it's a ratio 10 to 90%. maybe 10% or 5 to 10% invest more on a complete installation to the savings of 90% or more. That's really only a rough indication.
Yeah, if I may jump in as well. So it really depends on where you start. So our goal is really to start with just on a very critical point where we can show that this really brings progress, that this gives benefit, and with little investment. So that creates a aha effect with the customer, and then he gets more aware and is willing to invest more and to explore more the possibilities of connected DC at the end. So we're not talking about connected assets, but overall the complete production can be connected. And this really helps, of course, to drive at the end total cost of ownership. But the investment really can be very little, from a couple of hundred thousands to whatever.
It's really comparable to the automotive industry. Sorry, Peter. It's really comparable to the automotive industry. When I done my driving license years ago, on bought my first car, which was a VW Beetle, there was no brake distance sensor. There was no airbag. There was no connected assets. There was nothing digital. If you're looking to today's cars, it's everybody is expecting that you have a completely overview about the condition of your car, and that you have sensors everywhere, and that you are directly knowing what is the condition of your car, if you got into the garage and you have maintenance or whatever. And this is what I'm also seeing with condition monitoring for post and parcel hubs. If you start the first approach and make sure that the bottleneck of the system is totally conditioned, then the customer is willing to say, oh, this is useful, that helps to reduce downtimes, that will improve my maintenance, and so on. That is really the key.
I'm going to sort of bundle a question from the audience together with a couple of my own. Jane is asking, how do you scale a facility with your hardware, software, and services? And my addition to that is over what sort of time scale, and is there any noticeable interruption or disruption of a customer's operations during the implementation?
Tilman, can you ask that question?
To be honest, no, I do not understand the question.
I'll ask again, Tilman, but I'll break it down this time. How do you scale a facility with your hardware, software, and services?
I do not understand what you mean. Sorry.
I'm also struggling. Sorry.
Okay, I think the intention of the question is the implementation of it. Is there an interruption or a disruption of the existing operations during implementation, and over what sort of time scale would that implementation take?
Okay, now I got it. Okay, so it depends on what approach are we taking. We're just focusing on small, a couple of assets in a critical line of production, for example. Then it can be quickly, and of course we try to not to interrupt the current production itself. So as Frank explained up front, there will be a discussion first prior to this, and then we see what's the implementation plan of that, but we do not want to disrupt the current production. And usually if it's a very small step, then it's done within a couple of months. If it's a huge, if we're talking about connected DC, really the distribution center is fully featured with connected assets and features, then of course this can last years. So it really depends on the complexity.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to, actually, we're running out of time. So I just want to, and that is whether the solution we've been discussing, is it or are you rolling that out currently territory by territory?
We are focusing on at the moment, on some core customers within Europe as well in the US, where we have already the relationship, because as I mentioned in my presentation, it needs trust and relationship on both sides. Trust from us that the customer will later on, after all the effort that we're bringing, also invest in this technology, but also trust from the customer side. It says, I trust Honeywell, and I believe I have to share a lot of internal data and information, also invest some money, and so it's needed a big relationship.
Okay, well,
before we've done a big rollout, we are doing some first pilots.
Thank you, Frank, and Tilman. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you to our audience as well for your attention today. And Frank, if you'd move the slides on one more, your details should appear on screen. Should anybody wish to get in touch with you to discuss this offline, away from the presentation, so. It just remains for me to thank you all once again for some excellent insight there into challenges that our industry is facing and solutions in which we're helping to alleviate those pain points, as we call them. Tilman, thank you very much indeed, and to our audience, thank you very much for logging into the Logistics Channel webinar.
Thank you very much, Peter. Bye.
Goodbye.